Hey, I'm Greg.
And I'm Billy.
And we're the Fuji guys. This is a first look video for our brand new exciting HS50 camera. It's our top of the line hybrid camera. Super incredible 42 times manually zooming. I like to call it precision zooming, but at the end of the day it's the same kind of zoom mechanism you have on a DSLR, which is great. Incredible lens, incredible camera. In this video, Billy's basically just going to go around all the different sides of the camera and tell you what all the controls are for. So Billy, take it away, please.
Thank you, Greg. And of course, Greg, you know, the HS50 is an EXR camera, and so the EXR sensor technology uses an EXR CMOS sensor as well as an EXR processor. So you can get top-of-the-line features, function, and speed, as well as low noise, high ISO quality on this camera. So it really is a versatile camera when it comes to, you know, really almost replacing that DSLR because it offers such a great zoom. It's a 42 times optical zoom lens that goes from a 24mm wide all the way to 1000 millimeters. And of course, you know, looking right in the front of this camera, you definitely see that zoom. Right in front, of course, you'll notice that, you know, the lens is made from Fuji. It's a Super EVC Fujinon lens, which is part of the Fujifilm family, and really, we're really, you know, great when it comes to the quality of the lenses. If you've seen, you know, some of us in action, including our broadcast lenses that we produce, very, very high quality. The EBC stands for electron beam coating, which helps to reduce, you know, ghosting and internal refraction inside the camera, so that again you can get the best optical image quality possible. It does, with this lens, has a built-in thread for 58mm filter, so whether it's a polarizer, UV filters, you can attach that directly on without any special adapters. There's also a slot there for, of course, the hood, so that, again, it reduces any ghosting when shooting in bright sunlight. Again, it is a manual zoom. It's a precision zoom, as Greg mentioned, and zooming it in and out allows you to obviously get very close. And because when we say precision, it means it's not like an electronic button that you push that jumps between spots. There's infinite zoom capabilities, and just like a DSLR, this is actually a great feature to have. You also have that manual focus ring that allows you to focus if you wanted to do in obviously manually. You got of course your two stereo microphones. You got your AF assist lamp to help you focus in low light situations. On the side of this camera, you got your focus selector. So I said earlier, you have your single continuous autofocus, but you also have the option for manual focusing, and that's where you put it to there and rotate that little manual focus ring in the front. Just above it, you got your speakers, so that of course when you're doing your full HD videos, you can play it back. I did mention that with the full HD video, it records at 60 frames a second if you wanted to. So if you plan to do a lot of slow motion action videos, you can record at 60 frames, use your editing software and slow it down, and you don't get that little blur that you get when you shoot, say, HD video with the 30 frame option, okay? That's kind of nice to have. Below that, you got your mic input as well as your remote input. So it can take a standard, you know, 2.5mm remote to trigger the camera, as well as a mic input if you want to really reduce the audio sounds, you know, from the camera and stick it onto your mics like these lapel mics that we carry to give you the best optical quality. You got your pop-up flash that pops up the built-in internal flash. And of course, you got your little area here where you can attach your neck strap, okay? So that's one side. And I guess, sorry, I didn't miss the little cover here. It's kind of hidden, but there's an area where you connect your HDMI cable as well as your USB and your AV cable that goes to that USB port as well. So you can download images and it will play back your videos, photos on your HD TV. The HDMI cable is optional, of course. On the opposite side of the camera, you have a little area here where you have access, of course, to the, well, the grip itself is rubberized, and there's a little texture here to access your memory card. It takes SD, SDXC, and SDHC cards. Highly recommend if you're doing full HD videos, shooting raw, that you get the fastest card possible in your budget. And generally, an SD card that's at least a Class 6 rating is highly recommended on that. Looking at the bottom of the camera, you got your tripod socket and you got your battery door cover. Gives you access to the rechargeable lithium battery that's included. Also comes with the charger with this camera. Okay, looking at the top of the camera now, you have your shutter release button. You push halfway down to pre-focus and all the way down to shoot. Your on and off switch is right there as well, of course. You also have your continuous button here that gives you access to the high-speed continuous shooting modes. Your exposure compensation button to obviously over and underexpose the scene when needed. And of course, these buttons in playback mode act as your zoom in, zoom out for your photos if you wanted to really check the focus and check the sharpness of that. Below that, you got your command dial. That command dial is used to change settings on the camera, used to adjust things like aperture and shutter speeds when you shoot with this camera in manual modes. Saying that, of course, this camera is an EXR camera. It has EXR technology. And in that EXR mode, it's going to determine two things. The lighting that you're shooting it in at, whether it's low light, high contrast scenes, or good lighting, and the type of scene that you're shooting at. So you can be standing on a beach, there could be a subject in it, and the sun could be behind your back, and the camera will automatically determine that and give you the most proper exposure and color balance for that particular scene.
Yeah, it actually knows you're on a beach, it knows you're taking a picture of a person, and it knows the sun's behind you, so it adjusts the camera. A little bit too short of a video to explain how it knows all that.
And we'll see that in the top features
It's amazing
video.
how it works, though.
That's right. Now, of course, you got your nice panoramic modes. You got your 360 panoramic stitch. You got your advanced features on this camera, and we'll go through some top features videos. So go through each of those, and so that you have a good understanding of this camera. Just beside, of course, there you got your hot shoe. It's a TTL hot shoe. Allows you to connect Fuji's TTL flashes like the EF20, and EF42 flashes. And if you think that the flash in the camera is not good enough for certain situations, you can always use an external flash like that. TTL really means actually that the camera can recognize the lighting situation and exposure and tell the flash how to fire. You can use dedicated flash, non-Fuji flashes, but you have to manually set that on the flash itself. It makes it a little bit more difficult if you really want to just to quickly shoot with that. So highly recommend an external TTL flash from Fuji if you want just for simplicity use. Okay, so that's just a quick look at the top of this camera. Looking now at the back of this camera, of course, you'll definitely see this new LCD screen. One of the newest features, of course, that we finally added to our cameras is the ability for it to tilt and swivel. So it's a very variable angle LCD screen, and as you can rotate it so that you can shoot low and above, below, and rotate that the opposite way, as you can see if it's above you. And of course, you can also protect the lens, or the LCD by folding in that way. And now when you're using the electronic viewfinder, high-res electronic viewfinder that's built into this camera, you're not going to add scratches or anything to the LCD screen. And generally, with this camera, we always recommend you use the electronic viewfinder. It's going to give you a steadier hold, better battery life, and in bright sunlight, right, you're going to have the ability to actually see things, okay? Saying that, of course, you have the eye sensor. It jumps between the EVF and the LCD screen when you put your eyes up to it, as you may. If you don't want that to happen, you have the EVF LCD button that forces that function. So you can always use EVF, always use LCD, or again, enable the eye sensor. There's a diopter adjustment for eyeglass wearers, so that it makes it a lot more comfortable to use. And of course, there's a Q button now on this camera. And the Q button is really a quick access to a lot of the exposure settings on this camera, where you want to change the ISO, the tone, the shadows, white balance, things like that can be quickly accessed via the Q menu. And again, you don't really have to dig into the actual camera's menu system to do that. On the opposite side, you got your one-touch video recording button. Again, it records full HD video, stop and start video. Doesn't matter what mode you're at, you can actually just do that via that button there. You have your AEF lock button that you can configure to lock exposure or focus or both. And of course, you got your directional pad from Fuji. Like any Fuji cameras, it helps you navigate the menu systems, going up, down, left, right, as well as the manual key button to confirm your selections. The button during shooting double up as your flash, self-timer, macro, as well as a function button that's fully customizable, whether you want to set that to be ISO controls or select it to switch your film simulation modes like Velvia and whatnot that's built into this camera. Of course, in playback mode, pushing up on that directional pad is a quick instant delete button in that particular mode. Below that, you got your playback button. You can actually push that button and hold it down for a few seconds. To jump between both the shooting and photos. So if I'm shooting, I want to look at images, I push the playback button, and if I want to go back to shooting, I tap it and it goes back to the shooting modes. And of course you got your display back button. So again, if you had the LCD screen on or the EVF on, you can toggle between the different display options from no information to grid lines, where you can use the rule of thirds to help you, compose your shot as well as align that picture. And of course, if you want shooting information, you can also enable that as well. There's also, of course, the display back buttons in the menu systems is sort of like your escape button. So if you accidentally push a delete button by mistake and you don't want to delete something, and you push display back all the time, it will go back and of course, prevent you from deleting that image. And again, that's just a quick little look. Again, our top features videos will go really more in depth on the features and functionality. But again, a cool looking camera for traveling with incredible zoom, incredible EXR sensor technology. And I think personally it's a great camera that really can replace, a DSLR.
Thank you, Billy, for that great first look of this amazing camera. I can't wait to try one if I go on a trip soon. Look forward to seeing the top features video for this one as well, because there's really so much stuff jammed into this camera, and I love personally using a lot of these new cool features, whether it's the panorama or switching between film simulation modes like you had mentioned. So check out that and our other videos by subscribing to our YouTube channel. Follow Billy on Twitter. You'll get all the latest news as it happens from Fuji. And until the next video, I'm Greg.
And I'm Billy.
And we're the Fuji Guys.